Welcome into Sports Idiot Nation. We did it before. We can do it again. I'm riding solo. It is Monday, March 2nd. Let's get into it. Sports, comedy, pop culture, and everything in between. By idiots, for idiots. This is Sports Idiot Nation.
Sports, comedy, pop culture, and everything in between. Welcome back, sinners. This is Season 2 of Sports Idiot Nation.
Welcome into a Monday. It is just I. It is just me. It is me and you. It is you and me. Been here before. Not my first rodeo, not yours either. We're going to kick this off with the Combine. This is Sports Idiot Nation. Of course, remember to, on this Monday, you're drinking your Java through your Sports Idiot Nation mug that you got in the link. Click that link if you haven't received yours. I'm going to start with the Combine. On this program, we don't really care all that much. There are some highlights and some lowlights to go through. A couple things. I looked up the fastest 40 time. So I want to jump into that a little bit. I forgot that basically in recent memory, for sure, Xavier Worthy of the Kansas City Chiefs, soon to be not the Kansas City, by the way. We all know he had the record for fastest 40 time. Let me go through the breakdown in case you're like me and you really don't care about the Combine, and you could just use maybe the Cliff Notes and sound like you know what you're talking about. When you're at the water cooler with the fellas, I got your back on this Monday morning. So, 2020-26. Did I say 2020, 26? Like, how many 20s were in there? 2026 NFL Scouting Combine, always at Lucas Oil Stadium. It was from February 26th, a Thursday, to yesterday, which was Sunday. And the way they break it down is the first day is the defensive linemen and linebackers. Friday is defensive backs and tight ends. We'll talk about a tight end here soon. Saturday, kind of fun. Out of everything, that's the day, I suppose, to go, because that is quarterback, wide receivers, and running backs. Of course, Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy winner, had no business being anywhere in and around that building. He is over an hour away in Bloomington doing his homework, obviously. And then yesterday, Sunday, was offensive lineman. The guy that everyone fell in love with is the redneck, red hair guy from Iowa, Bunker, I think his name is. And Spencer Fano, fastest 40-yard dash among offensive linemen, 4.91 seconds. Again, for a lineman, very, very good. Several offensive line impressed. Then going to quarterbacks, Taylen Green. My thing is, he like jumped, I don't know, 17 feet in the air or something. I don't know, something that a quarterback like never has to do, but that was a big deal. So we'll see if that really helps his draft status. The fact that he could, I don't know, maybe hurdle over 6 guys at once. I don't know. Is that like in the offense? Is that what the play they're running? Instead of the tush push, you hike the ball from the shotgun and you get a running start and hurdle over 19 people. Maybe that's the move for Taylen Green. We'll see. But no, I want to talk about this guy who, this freak of nature, And we have not seen something like this since VD. Not venereal disease, but my tight end, Vernon Davis. This guy, Kenyon Sadiq out of Oregon. He broke the tight end 40-yard dash record. 4.39. One of the fastest tight ends ever at the combine. To be able to say that you have 4.3 speed is definitely, you look at teams that need a tight end. I mean, just think of a team like New England that did not have enough weapons, and you put a guy like that. Obviously, the Bears and Colts just drafted a tight end very high last year. They don't need one. The Niners, with Kittle getting older and not being available, obviously, you look at the Super Bowl champion Seahawks. I mean, they have weapons, but tight end wasn't necessarily their, they didn't have like a guy. The Rams used 19 tight ends at once, but none of them were like a name that you were like, oh my gosh, they got this guy. I mean, the Eagles, the Raiders have a tight end already, but man, there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to want a guy who just can run like crazy like that. So Kenyon Sadiq, we'll see where he gets drafted. Also, it was kind of fun to watch Jeremiah Love. He said in his post interview that he was going on Saturday night after participating. He was going to Chick-fil-A for a chocolate shake. So shout out to, I hope he got it Saturday night, because Sunday he is obviously out of luck at Chick-fil-A. But Jeremiah Love, though, also very, very, very fast. He was the second fastest running back. And then after he ran, he did wide receiver routes. And so, man, Jeremiah Love coming out of the backfield, catching and running, should be a first-round pick. So Skylar Bell was a receiver. He ran like a 4.4. The Bud Clark and Caleb Elarms, both from TCU, very, very fast. And then also were very athletic, as they can jump 19 feet. Again, I don't understand the idea of verticals being that big of a deal, but it is. So they measure it, so it means something. Then there was this weird thing. So Adam Schefter, everyone's guy from ESPN, reported an unofficial 40-yard time for Ohio State wide receiver Carnell Tate that was significantly faster than the official combine timing. And so Google that. Google Carnell Tate and combine time, and you'll see, like, we'll see if that's like a big deal, little deal, no deal. And then what was also kind of fun, just in the spirit of competition, Carson Beck was unloading at the combine, but there were lingering boos since he went to Miami and the local crowd is going to be IU people. So that was kind of fun. Also, speaking of fun, I don't think the Jets had much fun. I think they caught some extra Z's. Aaron Glenn literally was caught nodding off and falling asleep, which is pretty much ownership of the Jets, and everything they do as an organization is like falling asleep at the wheel. Basically, for your favorite team, what you need to know, not just the 40-yard dash, but they do take some time your favorite team does. They take some time to go over medical evaluations, positional drills, interviews with coaches and front office personnel, psychological testing. Now, it was also reported on Fox Sports Radio program with who is it? Plexico and LeVar Arrington. So Up on Game. Not the best show. I've referenced it many times. It is. It's like a guilty pleasure. It's just bad. Like LeVar Arrington's supposed to be the guy to kind of host it because Plexico has no business really doing anything. He's just so raw and just doesn't know what he's doing on the radio. But so LeVar tries to take over. He's not good because he's used to having Jonas Knox, who's the professional in the room, to do 2 pros and a cup of Joe. So now you got LeVar being out of his element, trying to be the host, and he's asking questions as if he's just a radio host, not that he was a really, really good linebacker, which he was. So you got this really, really good linebacker trying to pretend to be a host, and he's asking Plexico about draft and that kind of thing, and he basically had a Deion Sanders story that was like he didn't want to meet with half the NFL teams because, hey, dog, I'm not going to be available, so why am I even going to interview with you? You know, he pulled that. And then he did that with all these teams that weren't going to draft him. He did it with Pittsburgh and New York, the 2 teams that he played for. So just kind of weird how that ended up. Like, he didn't end up interviewing with them at all. And those are the 2 teams he played for, and he got drafted by, I believe, whichever one it was, New York, I think, and then he went to Pittsburgh or vice versa. That doesn't matter. But they were talking about funny stories, like supposedly was it Pittsburgh, or which would make sense because they're in the Cleveland Browns division, but there was a player that was told to meet with the Cleveland Browns at their facility and take his pants down and pee on the Browns logo. Like, that is a legitimate story, not recent. This was not recent. This was an ex-NFL player that was telling the story. But, and the reason I bring it up is because Mendoza basically said that an NFL team, he's being real about this. An NFL team said, well, Fernando, maybe you should try and get arrested. And he was serious. He didn't want to out the team, but basically, you read between the lines, basically they're saying, look, Fernando, you're a choir boy, you're Heisman Trophy, you're going to go number 1. If you were to drop in the draft so that we could get you, that would be great. And the only way at this point that this dude could drop in the draft is if he gets arrested. So that was kind of the tongue-in-cheek thing that was said. But he said they really did say it. And he doesn't want to out who it was. And so it makes you think like, okay, the Jets come to mind. You look at teams who don't need a quarterback. Okay, Arizona could be a team that would have said that. It's just funny to think about some of these stories that players go through where they ask certain questions. You know, I remember the Dolphins got in trouble a few years ago. They asked this player either how many kids his mom had or something about his mother that was not appropriate, but basically the team was trying to find out how close he was to his mother or something like that, and it was just not appropriate, and it got released that the Dolphins like had brought up these weird questions. So that stuff honestly does go down, I believe, but just kind of weird. This is the time of year. There's not much going on. The draft is next month, so we have a few weeks to, go over this stuff. But so NFL Combine wrapped up. Nothing else too crazy. I want to shift to basketball because we talked about the Spurs being dominant over the last, couple weeks. And they, no one, I don't think, bet this, but yesterday in the game, the Knicks really, really, really took it to them. So the first quarter, New York was up by 1. Second quarter, they extended that lead to 10 as they outscored the Spurs in the second quarter 29-20. Then coming out in the third quarter, you thought, okay, the Spurs going to figure some stuff out. Nope, outscored by 1, 29-28. And so they're up 11. And then in the fourth quarter, they just buried them 34-20 in the fourth quarter. Mikal Bridges, 25 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 5 steals. And Wemby, 25 and 13, 2 assists to go with not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 blocks. One of them was with his forehead. I made that up, but it sounded cool. I just think, man, 65 rebounds with the Knicks to 50 rebounds offensively, 18 offensive rebounds to 10 offensive rebounds for the Spurs. This will be the one thing that can get the Spurs in trouble, I believe. We talked about the teams not going, quote unquote, through it, and that the Spurs haven't gone through it yet. OKC last year, they had gone through it the previous year, being the number 1 seed, and it didn't work out. And then last year, they come out guns blazing, and they were ready to go. Well, the Spurs, look, they will, no one will be surprised if the Spurs make it to the Western Conference Finals, the Final Four of the NBA. No one will be that surprised, but I just think they have no chance of winning the NBA Finals. They have to go through it. They have to go through these games a little bit more, and they have to decide, we're not letting the Knicks out-rebound us. There's just no way. And they got crushed on the boards. And when you have a guy like Wemby, either he's got to stay closer to the basket sometimes, some possessions. I know he can hit the 3. I know he's got a jumper. I know he's incredibly skilled. I mean, there's an argument that he could be more talented athletically than Joker. And the reason I think that is because based on his body, and you see the funny memes made of Joker when he was like 15 years old and he was just like the fat kid who bullied you for your ice cream, and like this guy's averaging a triple-double now, but he's not athletic. The Joker is not an athletic build in the way that Wemby is. And Wemby's got Kevin Durant syndrome, super skinny, needs to eat a meal. I get it. And Joker may have too many meals. But the skill level and raw talent of Wemby, you could make an argument that, especially when it's all said and done, as of right this second, to build a franchise for the next 3 years, I'm still picking Joker. But in 3 years, you ask me that question, and it'll undoubtedly be Wemby. In the next 2 years, possibly. So Wemby is just that freak of nature that is also gifted talently as well. To be able to shoot the ball, there's no one in the NBA that can block his shot. Like, he can fade away like Durant and just shoot over you no matter what. So the Spurs, though, just don't have enough of that it factor quite yet. But they're fun to watch. That was a good game. The Knicks seem to be a team that can get up for big games. I mean, they are 39-22 overall, the Knicks are. So here is the up-to-date, as we look, again, Monday morning, we look at everything in the NBA. Here's the update. So Detroit is still barely by one game. They are 45-14, and the Thunder's 47-15. So obviously they've played more games, and the Pistons will catch up here. But then it goes Spurs, Celtics, Knicks. The Knicks, the New York Knicks. I don't know if you necessarily had this on your bingo card. With Tatum out, the Celtics are 40-20, and the Knicks are right behind them at 39-22, which is good enough for 5th in the entire league. So it goes Pistons, Thunder, Spurs, Celtics, and the Knicks. I don't know if you had that on your bingo card. And Boston being 40-20 without, by far, not by far in that Tatum is by far so much better than Jaylen Brown, but by far it's just like widely known that Tatum is their best player. But man, that's tough to hate on the Celtics unless you're a Laker fan or you just don't like the Celtics. Like, gosh, they are just really, really good. They're 8-2 in their last 10. And then real quick for fun, here's the breakdown of the bottom 5. So the bottom 5 is going to be records of 14-48, 15-46, 15-45, 16-43, and 18-42. So those teams are at number 30, the Kings, then the Pacers, the Nets, the Wizards, and the Jazz. And Markkanen is hurt for the Jazz, so now they have no players. They will be hosting a all-you-can-eat buffet in the stadium, followed by tryouts. So they're doing a great thing. You can try out for the Utah Jazz. So that's nice. But yeah, after that, Pelicans, Mavericks, Grizzlies, Bulls, Bucks. None of those teams, I think, have a chance at the playoffs. And then the teams with either being 500 or a winning record, the Hawks at 31-31, Warriors are 31-29. Then the Heat, Magic, and Sixers and Suns are all pretty decent teams. And then Cavs, Nuggets, Lakers, Raptors, and Timberwolves and Rockets are that other like gap of teams that, okay, they could win a playoff series. That's probably about it. But like I said, the Knicks, Celtics, Spurs, Thunder, and Pistons are the darlings, if you will, of the NBA right now. Here's the question. Do we see that changing? So again, Knicks, Celtics, Spurs, Thunder, Pistons. Today is March 2nd. Do we see that changing? The Rockets and the Cavs, the Nuggets always have a chance because Joker could just drop 60 points, 20 rebounds, 19 assists, like whatever. The Lakers, though, do they stay healthy? The Cavs, historically over the last 3 seasons, have been a pretty good team. Can they start winning a little bit more? Yeah, they can. They're the 8th overall best team in the NBA right now. They have the same wins as the Timberwolves, just one more loss. So, yeah, and the Rockets have, KD that could just all of a sudden go on a tear. He really could, even at his age. So, we'll see. Talking of some of those individual players, so let's take a look here at the points per game leader is Luka, 32.6, and SJ at 31.9. And then your rebounds per game, 12.6 for Joker and 11.7 for Karl Anthony Towns. And then this is nuts. This is nuts. I hope you're sitting down. The only player in the NBA to average double digits in assists at 10.5 is the Joker. What are we doing? What kind of league is this where you're letting a center lead your league in assists? Shout out to Cade Cunningham, who is at 9.8 assists. He is number 2. So Joker at 12.6 rebounds and 10.5 assists. Now, he's not among the leaders for points per game, but just for fun, let's take a look real quick at how many points per game. Donovan Mitchell at number 7 in points per game is 28.5, and at number 6, your 6th leading scorer at 28.7 is the Joker. How do you spell Jokic? MVP. That's how spell that. So it's not even close. Steals per game is going to be Cason Wallace and Kawhi Leonard and Tyrese Maxey, all at 2.0 steals per game. Blocks per game, obviously, is Holmgren and Wembyama. Chet Holmgren at 2.0 and Victor at 2.8. Field goal percentage, DeAndre Ayton. And your leader is Rudy Gobert. So Luke Kennard leads the league in 3-point percentage at 491. So over 49% of the time, if he gets the ball for a 3, it's going in. And then free throw percentage, Cam Spencer, brother of Pat Spencer from the Warriors, 935 free throw percentage. Steph Curry, 931. And then minutes per game, Amen Thompson at 37.1 and Tyrese Maxey, 38.4. You will never guess this. Okay, here's something. You will never guess who is third in minutes played per game in the association. In the NBA, your third leading minute grabber at 36.6 minutes per game. KD. That's impressive. I gotta say, that is impressive. Kevin Durant, over 36 minutes per game played. That's pretty good. That's why the Rockets are a top 10 team. And then leading in turnovers, of course, is going to be Luka. 4 turnovers per game. But when you score that many points, I suppose, hey, it's okay. So those are some little trivia things there for you. Let's shoot over now real quick to get some takes on it's March. So every single episode in March, there has to be at least a little nugget of college basketball. So in your top 25, the only matchups were in the Big Ten. Michigan State beat IU, and Purdue lost. Number 8, Purdue lost to Ohio State at Ohio State. So let's talk about the Big Ten real quick. So basically, because I really do think that the when you look at the with it's a little different for March Madness than it is, I guess, for like football, in that the conference, it's not as big a deal, like the SEC in football. It's a little bit different for basketball, but I do think it's still a thing. But when you look at the Big Ten, so let me pull it up here, and here are your up-to-the-minute Big Ten standings. So I'll read the top 10. This is the top 10. Starting at number 10 with a conference record of 8-9, and we'll go up from there. So IU is under 500 at 8-9, and then every other team has a plus 500 winning percentage in the conference. So Ohio State number 9, Iowa number 8, UCLA number 7, Wisconsin number 6, Purdue number 5, Illinois number 4, Michigan State number 3, Nebraska at 14-4, and Michigan with only one conference loss, 17-1. And then the bottom 5, Penn State always brings up the rear, always. Penn State, Maryland, Oregon. Now, Maryland doesn't always bring up the rear. Penn State, Maryland, Oregon, Northwestern, and Rutgers, the likely 5, I guess, except for Maryland, only has 4 wins in the conference. They're 11-17 overall. All right, so real quick, let's look and see. I mean, that's 9 teams making it, right? Ohio State, Iowa, UCLA, Wisconsin, Purdue, Illinois, Michigan State, Nebraska. Nebraska 14-4 in conference, 25-4 overall. And then Michigan obviously is probably one of the 1 seeds. But you look at Ohio State, they're 9-8 in the conference, 17-11 overall. They could end up with 20 wins. I feel like it'd be hard to keep a 20-win Big Ten team. Also, how it shakes out in the tournament. Obviously, if they get to the Final Four of their tournament, Ohio State can maybe make a case to be in the tournament. But I like all the other teams. I mean, Iowa's 20-9, as is Wisconsin. Purdue, Illinois, Michigan State, Nebraska are absolute book it shoo-ins for the tournament. But UCLA is 19-10. They're 11-7 in the conference. But man, the only teams that are donezo, I think, is IU, USC, Washington. They're the 10, 11, and 12 in the conference. I don't see them, if they win every game from here on out at March 2nd. I don't think there's a path. Obviously, they would win the Big Ten tournament if they won every game from now until, but that would be the only way. You would have to go undefeated. If you are IU, USC, or Washington, you basically would have to go undefeated for the rest of the year. USC is not a joke. They're 18-11, so they're not a joke. But being 7-11 in the conference is just too good. And that's why UCLA and USC coming all the way from California to play some of these teams at their place and going all the way to Michigan or what have you. That's impressive for UCLA to be 11-7 in the conference. Obviously, they're beating up on Penn State, Maryland, Oregon, Northwestern, Rutgers, but still impressive. Michigan, I did not see that coming. That they, that game against Duke, that was just a fun game to watch. So we'll see how it shakes out. We'll talk more about college basketball, obviously, as it gets closer into March Madness, through the tournament, all that stuff, where we have to figure out where True TV is, because right now I have no idea where it is, but we'll find it soon. All right, so we went through a little basketball, little football, baseball. I'm curious, when you have a favorite baseball team, let me know in the comments. Do you catch up on things during spring? Like, I pull up the iHeartRadio app on my phone, and what I do is I I love that you can do this. So you can get the iHeartRadio app, it's free, and then you can plug in any radio station that plays your favorite MLB games and just put it on there and then listen for free. So when I'm driving, like yesterday, I was driving Sunday afternoon, put on KNBR, that is the station that plays San Francisco Giant games, and we're playing the Padres. Logan Webb is pitching. That's my guy. That's our number one, our ace. Hey, threw it on. But I'm curious, if you're a baseball fan, you have your favorite team. Miles has the Reds, T.I. has the Cardinals, our old pal from Sports with Balls, Jeff Michael, has the Astros. I'm excited. I will be interviewing a former player. Now, he's a Dodger guy, so I'm not going to be like overly excited, but really good dude. He is local. He's in Fort Wayne. We are going to go to a studio and I'm going to talk to him. So I'll ask him who he still follows and if he is into spring training baseball as well. So stay tuned for that. But I'm curious. So let me know. Do you care? Do you just wait till, June to care about baseball? How do you do that? I'm interested enough, especially I'll say this. Does it make a difference when your team makes some moves? So you look at the Giants infield and then throw out that we have the Asian dude who was pretty good last year as a rookie, Heliot Ramos, was pretty good. It's like, okay, the Giants actually can field a team this year. Like, it sucks that they have to go against the Padres and Dodgers, but the Giants have a good roster. If they were in the AL West or NL Central, like, I would give them more of a, hey, this team can make some noise. It's just tough sailing. It's like the Arizona Cardinals in the NFC West. Good Lord. You got McVay, you got, Kyle Shanahan, and then no big deal, just the guy that won the Super Bowl. So if you're the Arizona Cardinals, you got to be thinking like, dear Lord, what a crazy division. Well, that's how it is for the Giants. I mean, they're not terrible like the Rockies, and it's like, gosh, we got to go up against these teams. So, but I take interest enough, so I'm curious if you guys get into it as well. So let me know in the comments. Also, remember to follow us on social media. We have, Wrestling Idiot Nation, Film Idiot Nation. What started as a goof, if you don't know the story, in the early days of Sports Idiot Nation, Miles, T.I., and I would find a way somehow to talk about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I don't know how it came up. You can go back to the first 5-10 episodes, and we find a way to talk about it. And it was just funny. Whereas one episode, we get to the end and T.I.'s like, hey, we didn't mention the Ninja Turtles, so we're going to mention the Ninja Turtles. Like, we had to do it. It was like a thing, right? Well, then we're like, all right, well, Turtles Idiot Nation, let's do it. And so we did, and now go look at that page. Go follow that on Facebook. Look how many followers there are. As a goof. We did it as a joke, and now it kind of took off. It's fun. Nostalgia, all good. But Gamer Idiot Nation, Puck, Hoops Idiot Nation. Follow all of the Idiot Nations, of course, birthed by our godfather, if you will, Titans Idiot Nation. Follow him for a laugh or 2 or 10. So I hope he feels better. T.I. is under the weather. Miles is a new father, so he's playing with his son right now, probably. Both will be back. Stay tuned. I feel like it's the Avengers where it's like, Thor will return. So, Miles will return. T.I. will return. New episodes of Sports Idiot Nation come to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, which means we We'll see you Wednesday. Thank you for watching this episode of Sports Idiot Nation. Remember, we are on all social media and on YouTube, and the podcast can be found on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Remember, new episodes are every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And remember, because you watch Sports Idiot Nation,
you would be the smartest idiot in the whole world.